Meta is now introducing ads to WhatsApp. It's a major reversal from its long-standing ad-free stance as the company seeks to monetize its 3 billion monthly users and support, of course, its new investments into artificial intelligence. Here to help us understand much more about this important story is Andrew Nuska. He is editorial director at Fortune. Andrew, grateful for your time here today. So give us a bit of an overview, if you can, about Meta's decision to actually run ads on WhatsApp. What has changed as of late?
Well, Meta needs some money, you know. Meta makes plenty of money as it is, to be fair, but making more always is good, especially when you're spending tens of billions of dollars on artificial intelligence, right? So WhatsApp, Meta acquired it in 2014, said at the time that it wouldn't deploy ads on the service. It was very protective over it and left it in place for a decade. Now it's finally uncovering that rock and considering putting ads into the section that is not where you chat with your friends, but a different area, as a test.
So what is that area? How actually functionally will they appear if and when I open up my WhatsApp app, and how will they actually be rolled out?
Well, we're not exactly sure yet what they're doing. It hasn't begun yet. It's merely reports right now. But the section in the app is updates. WhatsApp uses this section to deploy lots of different notifications to you about different services. It's basically the place where Meta is considering commercializing the app for ads and otherwise.
So, I think people are used to a world where ads become targeted based on the content you search for, the conversations you have. A lot of people seem to think it's sometimes the conversations you have out loud that the iPhone is listening to. But WhatsApp and Meta are very protective, and they're very fond of saying, this is encrypted, we don't know your messages. Do we have a sense about how they'll actually go about getting targeted advertising? And as we know from the space, Andrew, the more targeted the ad, the more lucrative it is for the host platform.
That's right. Look, to be fair, WhatsApp remains direct end-to-end encrypted. However, Meta is an advertising company. All those hundreds of billions of dollars go for something, and you need data, as you rightly pointed out, to target them and make them more effective. Meta knows plenty about you. It does not need to read your direct chats in WhatsApp to know what you've been doing on Facebook, what you've been looking at on Instagram, what you've been doing on other sites in between. Meta has a wealth of data, so in many ways, it doesn't need to crack your chats to figure out what you're interested in and what you might engage with, and I think that's what the bet is here.
What's your biggest unanswered questions so far, based off the early reports, Andrew?
Just how much Meta would want to commercialize WhatsApp. I mean, as I said before, when it was acquired in 2014, it said, we're not going to touch it. The founders of WhatsApp were very, very careful about not commercializing the app, but a decade has passed. It was inevitable that Meta would turn on the spigot eventually. I think an open question is just how much advertising it can get away with without getting in the way of the user experience of the app. It is a messaging app after all, and people use it differently than, say, Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, how does you think this fits into Meta's broader strategy for monetization and advertising across its entire ecosystem of apps and platforms?
Absolutely. WhatsApp serves a different customer base than Messenger. WhatsApp is very, very strong in countries not named the United States. WhatsApp is really, really strong. It has 3 billion, something like that at last count, users. It is doing a lot for Meta in terms of eyeball share, for lack of a better description. And if Meta can just make a little bit of money there, that's very meaningful to its bottom line.
I'd have to imagine there's regulatory concerns over this. More than a few regulators might be interested in looking at this, and that's kind of my initial thought. But then on the other hand, I sit there and I say, well, it's a new regulatory regime in Washington. It's a new White House. We know of the perception of coziness between the president and influential tech leaders, and I would add Mark Zuckerberg to that list. Do we have any sense on how this might play itself out in Washington?
Well, I don't think WhatsApp is going to be regulated any differently than any other messaging app. Right now, there's definitely a bit of a trend where we're trying to protect young children in these circumstances. We're trying to protect all users from adverse uses of artificial intelligence, which of course Meta is very interested in deploying everywhere it can. So I think there's a lot of ways that it affects WhatsApp, but I don't think any of those concerns are new to the platform.
Yeah, outside of WhatsApp, how else is Meta using AI to automate things like ad creation, enhanced targeting? I mean, you mentioned it. The company is, like a lot of others in the space, AI is really the great whale that they continue to pursue.
It's not just a fashionable thing to do. For Meta, it is 60, 70, 80 billion dollars worth of investment just in a year alone. You need to put AI everywhere to backstop that kind of an investment, and I think Meta is interested in doing that. So it has a series, a family, if you will, of large language models called Llama. It has certainly a Meta AI chatbot that has deployed in several of its apps. I think Meta is using it both in the front end, right, the thing that we are exposed to as users, as well as, to your point, the back end, improving ad optimization, creation, deployment. This is where Meta actually is making its money, and it would be foolish not to put some of those smarts to use there.
Yeah, and the announcement of the investment into Scale AI not long ago, not to mention the kind of whiz-kid CEO of that company, Alexander Wang, who now essentially will report, according to reports, directly to Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, it really seems as if Meta is trying to lay its stake to say, hey, there might be a lot of AI conversation happening with the competitors, but don't forget us. And I wonder what are the sort of metrics or milestones you'll be looking for to really give you a sense that Meta is in fact effectively closing that gap.
Absolutely. Look, the AI talent race is one of the most interesting stories in all of business right now. Are you a sports fan?
I am.
Okay, so am I. And you know, if you're paying attention to Meta, you're seeing a lot of acqui-hires, you're seeing a lot of action where Meta is trying to get the best AI talent possible to keep it away from OpenAI, you know, stave off competition from Anthropic, never mind Google and all of the other larger peers that Meta has. It is a free-for-all in many ways. And I think Meta is trying to put together a championship team by getting the best talent it can. The open question, and one that I'm watching very carefully, is, well, just because you've got a championship team on paper does not mean you're going to be holding the trophy at the end of the season.
It's kind of like the Yankees and Mets duking it out for Juan Soto, right? I mean, that was actually one of the, I'm glad you asked that question, because that's kind of what I thought when I saw the Scale AI story for the first time about a week or two ago. It really seems as if you are so aggressively seeking to acquire the top industry talent, those individuals who are widely viewed as being the forefront of the leaders, and Meta clearly is in that race as much as anyone, would you say, or catching up?
I think as much as anyone in terms of spend, but catching up slightly, because when they deployed their Llama models, they were a bit underwhelming to the engineers and the more technical folks who were expecting more from Meta. So a bit of both there. But the race is definitely on for that first draft pick, that top talent, that, you know, trying to actually make it all work together. I'm thinking a lot about how Alexander Wang is going to integrate into Meta's AI operation, because I think that's a question worth asking.
Alexander Wang, the Juan Soto of the artificial intelligence world. Andrew Nuska is editorial director at Fortune. Thanks a lot for being here and helping us understand a really important story at a crucial time. Andrew, thank you.
You got it. Thank you so much.